Welcome everyone to the channel Coinstar, and thank you for clicking on this video today, because what you are about to hear may completely change the way you look at the smallest coin in your pocket, a coin that most people ignore, spend, or even throw away without a second thought. Yet this ordinary looking piece of copper has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and captured millions of views across YouTube and social media due to its unbelievable story, rare characteristics, and jaw-dropping value. Today we are diving deep into the legendary 1-cent 1983 penny of the United States of America, a Lincoln Liberty coin that on its surface carries a face value of just 1 cent, but under the right circumstances has been whispered, discussed, debated, and sometimes even proven to reach values as high as $6 million. And this massive difference between face value and market worth is not based on imagination but on a fascinating combination of historical timing, minting transitions, hidden errors, rare mistakes, mint mark anomalies, metal composition surprises, and extraordinary possibilities that turn this everyday penny into one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history. So stay with me, because this story is not just about money, it is about mystery, discovery, and the idea that treasure might already be sitting quietly in your home, your wallet, or an old jar collecting dust. The 1983 Lincoln penny was struck during a critical period in United States mint history, a time of major change and experimentation, because just 1 year earlier in 1982 the U.S. Mint officially changed the composition of the 1-cent coin from mostly copper to zinc with a thin copper plating, a decision driven by rising copper prices. And while most people assume that once a change is announced everything switches perfectly overnight, the reality inside minting facilities is far more complex, chaotic, and prone to human and mechanical error. And this is where the legend of the 1983 penny begins to take shape, because although all official records state that number 1983 pennies should have been struck on the old copper planchets, collectors over the years have discovered examples that defy those records: coins that appear heavier than normal, coins that respond differently to magnets, coins that show signs of being struck on leftover copper blanks, and coins that simply do not behave the way a normal 1983 zinc penny should, opening the door to the possibility of ultra-rare transitional errors that can be worth staggering amounts of money. The Denver Mint, represented by the small d mint mark beneath the date, played a crucial role in this story, because massive numbers of pennies were produced there, increasing the chances that mistakes slipped through quality control. And when production volume is high and pressure is intense, even a tiny oversight can result in a handful of coins that are dramatically different from the rest. And those differences are exactly what collectors hunt for, because in numismatics rarity combined with error and historical importance creates explosive value, and the 1983 penny sits at the perfect intersection of all three. One of the most famous and valuable possibilities associated with this coin is the copper composition error, where a penny dated 1983 is struck on a bronze planchet meant for earlier years, and if authentic, such a coin is considered one of the holy grails of modern U.S. coin collecting, because according to official mint documentation, copper pennies should not exist for this date, meaning any confirmed example represents a monumental mistake. And when a coin contradicts official history, collectors and investors take notice, pushing values into the millions due to extreme rarity, intense demand, and global fascination. The standard 1983 zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams, while earlier copper pennies weigh approximately 3.11 grams, and that small difference becomes a massive clue, because weight is often the first test serious collectors perform, and coins that pass this test move on to professional authentication, where metallurgy, strike analysis, and microscopic inspection can reveal whether a coin is genuinely struck on the wrong metal. And when such a coin is verified by top grading services, its value can skyrocket beyond imagination, not because it is just old, but because it should not exist at all. Beyond metal composition, the 1983 penny is also known for dramatic mint errors that elevate individual coins into another financial universe entirely, including off-center strikes where the design is partially missing, double strikes where the coin was struck more than once causing ghostly overlapping images, broad strikes that flatten the rim and stretch the design outward, and clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is missing due to cutting errors during blank preparation. And while many of these errors exist across different years, the context of 1983 amplifies their importance, because collectors are already hyper-focused on this date due to its transitional status, meaning even common errors can command higher premiums, while extreme errors can reach prices that sound almost unreal to the average person. Another powerful value driver is the double die phenomenon, where elements like the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "in God we trust" appear doubled due to misalignment in the die creation process, and these doubling effects can range from subtle to dramatic, but when clearly visible and well preserved, they transform a simple penny into a coveted collector's prize, and when combined with a Denver mint mark, originality, and strong eye appeal, such coins can attract fierce bidding wars that push prices to incredible heights, especially when collectors believe they are acquiring a once-in-a-lifetime example. The mint mark itself is another critical aspect of the 1983 D Pennies story, because errors involving the D mint mark, such as weak strikes, filled mint marks, repunched mint marks, or even missing mint marks due to grease-filled dies, add another layer of intrigue, since mint marks help identify where a coin was made and provide valuable context, and when that context is disrupted by an error, collectors see it as a unique fingerprint that separates one coin from millions of others, increasing desirability and value exponentially. The phrase "liberty" on the Lincoln penny has always symbolized American ideals, but on certain 1983 D era coins it appears distorted, partially missing, doubled, or stretched, turning a word that is normally taken for granted into a key feature that collectors analyze with magnification and excitement, and similarly the famous motto "In God We Trust" can show signs of die deterioration, doubling, or strike weakness, all of which tell a story about the condition of the minting equipment at the time the coin was made, and in numismatics, stories matter almost as much as metal, because they connect a physical object to a moment in history. What truly pushes some examples of the 1983 D penny into the realm of multi-million-dollar discussions is the combination of multiple rare traits in a single coin, for example a penny struck on a copper planchet with a dramatic off-center strike, clear doubling, pristine condition, and verified authenticity, because when rarity stacks upon rarity, value multiplies rather than adds. And this is why some collectors and auction houses speak in terms of millions when discussing theoretical or confirmed top-tier examples, especially when they are unique or one of only a few known in existence. YouTube and online media have played a massive role in turning the 1983 D penny into a viral sensation, with top-viewed videos racking up millions of views as people search their change, weigh coins on kitchen scales, and dream about discovering a hidden fortune. And while not every penny will be worth a fortune, the real power of this story lies in the fact that some genuinely valuable examples have already been found by ordinary people, proving that these discoveries are not confined to museums or elite collections, and this keeps the hunt alive and the excitement growing every year. The market dynamics behind a claimed $6 million valuation are driven not just by the coin itself but by the psychology of collecting, because collectors are often willing to pay extraordinary prices for coins that represent the ultimate anomaly, the biggest mistake, or the rarest survivor of a critical transition, and when a coin checks all those boxes, it becomes more than currency, it becomes a legend, a headline, and a symbol of possibility, and in private sales or high-profile auctions, such legends can command prices that seem unbelievable to outsiders but make perfect sense within the world of high-end numismatics. Condition also plays a massive role, because a rare error coin in poor condition may be worth thousands, while the same error in near-perfect or mint-state condition can leap into the millions, and the 1983 D penny is no exception, as coins with sharp details, original luster, minimal wear, and strong strikes are exponentially more desirable, especially when combined with third-party grading and encapsulation that provide confidence to buyers spending life-changing amounts of money. The idea that a 1-cent coin could be worth millions challenges our everyday assumptions about value, money, and attention, and that is why the 1983 D penny continues to dominate discussions, searches, and videos, because it represents the ultimate contrast between what something appears to be and what it could actually be worth. And this contrast is what fuels endless curiosity and hope among collectors both new and experienced. The most fascinating stories in American coin history, a story that turns an ordinary pocket change coin into a legendary treasure, because today we are talking about the 1-cent 1985 penny of the United States of America, a small copper coin with the portrait of Abraham Lincoln and the powerful words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," a coin most people have spent without a second thought. A coin many have lost in couch cushions, jars, drawers, or sidewalks, yet hidden within this everyday penny is A story of mystery, errors, mint mistakes, rare circumstances, and mind-blowing possibilities that have shocked collectors and driven values to unbelievable heights, including stories and claims that place certain extraordinary examples of this 1985 Lincoln cent at values reaching up to $8 million, making it one of the most talked-about pennies among collectors, investors, and treasure hunters around the world. And today we are going to explore how a coin with a face value of just 1 cent can become so valuable, why the 1985 penny stands out, what makes it different from billions of others, and how mint errors, planchet mistakes, die varieties, mint mark anomalies, and historical context combine to create a perfect storm of rarity and demand that fuels massive prices. Beginning with the basic identity of the 1985 1-cent coin, which was minted during a period when the United States Mint was undergoing changes in materials, technology, and quality control, this penny features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and by 1985 this iconic design had already become one of the longest-running coin designs in American history, trusted, familiar, and deeply symbolic, while the reverse side still displayed the Lincoln Memorial, representing unity, democracy, and national heritage. The coin was minted primarily in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the Philadelphia Mint producing coins without a mint mark, the Denver Mint producing coins with a D mint mark, and San Francisco striking proof coins with an S mint mark, and under normal circumstances these coins are extremely common, with hundreds of millions struck in 1985 alone, which is why most people believe the coin is only worth 1 cent or perhaps a few cents in circulated condition. But what most people do not realize is that rarity does not always come from low mintage alone. Rarity can be created through error, through deviation, through accident, and through human or mechanical failure at the mint, and this is where the 1985 penny begins to transform from an everyday object into a potential fortune, because during this era the United States Mint was still adjusting to the copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982, a significant shift away from the traditional solid copper pennies that had existed for decades. This new composition involved a zinc core coated with a very thin layer of copper, and while this change saved costs, it also introduced new opportunities for errors to occur, including improper plating, exposed zinc cores, incomplete bonding, weight inconsistencies, and structural weaknesses, all of which can lead to rare and highly collectible mistakes. One of the most valuable and discussed error types associated with the 1985 penny is the off-metal or wrong planchet error, where a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or another year's metal standard, such as a bronze planchet instead of the standard copper-plated zinc, and if a genuine 1985 penny were discovered struck on a leftover pre-1982 bronze planchet with full authentication and pristine condition, the rarity and desirability could skyrocket, especially if combined with additional errors like double strikes or off-center impressions, because collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for coins that should not exist according to official mint records. Another powerful contributor to high valuation is the double die error, which occurs when the coin die receives a misaligned impression during its creation, causing parts of the design such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or Lincoln's facial features to appear doubled, and while minor doubling is common and often dismissed as machine doubling, true double die errors are rare, dramatic, and extremely valuable, and a strong double die obverse on a 1985 penny, especially if visible to the naked eye and professionally certified, can push values into the tens or hundreds of thousands, and when combined with exceptional preservation and historical significance, collectors sometimes speculate on values reaching into the millions for the finest known examples. Mint mark errors also play a critical role in the legendary status of certain 1985 pennies, because the placement and punching of mint marks in this era still involved manual processes for some dies, leading to repunched mint marks, missing mint marks, or even misplaced mint marks, and a 1985 D penny with a dramatic repunched D, or a coin that shows clear evidence of a missing or malformed mint mark due to die fill or punching error, becomes a rare variety sought after by specialists who focus on Lincoln cent anomalies, and when such errors are coupled with proof-like surfaces or near-perfect strike quality, their appeal multiplies rapidly. Another error category that drives extraordinary value is the off-center strike, where the coin is struck while the planchet is misaligned, resulting in part of the design missing and blank areas visible, and while minor off-center strikes are relatively common and modestly valuable, extreme off-center strikes where a large portion of the design is missing yet the date and mint mark remain fully visible are far rarer, and collectors pay premiums for dramatic examples that clearly show the mistake while retaining essential identifying elements, and if such an error occurred on a 1985 penny in combination with other anomalies like a broad strike or multiple strikes, its value can increase exponentially. Broad strike errors occur when a coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread outwards and appear larger and flatter than normal, and when combined with strong details and clear date, these coins become visually striking and highly collectible. Another fascinating error that fuels the legend of $1 million 1985 pennies is the double strike or multiple strike error, where a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with rotation or offset between strikes, creating overlapping images and distorted features. These coins offer a dramatic visual story of mint malfunction and are prized by collectors who appreciate error coins as historical artifacts of industrial imperfection. And when such a coin is preserved in high grade without heavy circulation damage, its desirability soars. Die cracks, cut errors, and retained cut varieties also contribute to the allure of rare 1985 pennies. These errors occur when the die used to strike the coin begins to fail, cracking or breaking away, leaving raised blobs or missing areas on the coin's design, and while minor die cracks are common, large cuts that obscure significant portions of the design are far rarer and more valuable, and a 1985 penny featuring a massive cut error, especially on Lincoln's portrait or across the lettering, becomes a standout piece. That error collectors aggressively pursue. Another extraordinary possibility lies in transitional errors, which occur when the mint accidentally uses the wrong dyes or materials during a period of change, and although 1985 was not officially a transition year like 1982, errors involving leftover materials or experimental processes are always possible, and the discovery of a genuine transitional error can rewrite numismatic understanding and generate enormous interest, pushing values into extraordinary territory. Proof coins from 1985 also present their own universe of value possibilities, especially when errors occur during the proof striking process at the San Francisco Mint. Proof coins are struck with special dies, polished planchets, and higher pressure, creating mirror-like fields and frosted details, and errors on proof coins are significantly rarer than on business strikes, meaning a 1985's proof penny with a major error such as a double die, off-metal strike, or dramatic die crack can be worth exponentially more than a similar error on a regular circulation coin, and when combined with pristine condition and professional certification, such proof errors can attract elite collectors willing to spend enormous sums to own a unique or finest known example. Condition plays a massive role in determining whether a rare 1985 penny reaches the upper extremes of valuation, because even the rarest error loses value if heavily worn or damaged. Coins graded at the highest levels, such as mint state 67, 68, or even higher, are exponentially rarer than lower grade examples, and the difference between a mint state 65 and a mint state 68 penny can be the difference between thousands and millions of dollars, especially when registry set competition drives collectors to pay whatever it takes to secure the top spot. The psychological power of owning the finest known example cannot be overstated, because collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying status, history, and uniqueness, and this emotional component often pushes prices far beyond what logic alone would predict. Market dynamics also play a crucial role in the legendary valuations associated with rare 1985 pennies, because the numismatic market is driven by supply and demand, and when demand spikes due to media attention, the idea that an everyday pocket change coin could secretly be worth a fortune, then you are absolutely in the right place, because in this video we are diving deep into the fascinating and mysterious world of the 1-cent 1986 penny of the United States of America, a small copper-colored coin that most people would never look at twice. Yet collectors around the world believe certain rare examples of this penny could be worth up to $9 million, a mind-blowing difference from its simple face value of just 1 cent, and today we will explore why this coin has captured so much attention, how history, minting technology, rare errors, mistakes, mint mark irregularities, and collector demand all combine to transform an ordinary Lincoln penny into a potential multi-million-dollar treasure. So let's begin by stepping back in time to understand what makes the 1986 United States 1-cent coin so important. During the mid-1980s, America was undergoing changes not only culturally and Economically but also technologically within the U.S. Mint itself, the Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909, had already become one of the longest-running and most recognized coin designs in American history, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse along with the powerful inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," symbols deeply tied to American identity, values, and national pride. And by 1986 the Lincoln Memorial reverse was still in use, creating a familiar design millions of Americans carried in their pockets every day. Yet beneath this familiar surface something unusual was happening, because the U.S. Mint had recently transitioned in 1982 from mostly copper pennies to copper-plated zinc pennies due to rising metal costs, and by 1986 both composition types were still being produced in limited experimental and transitional forms, setting the stage for some of the most intriguing mint errors and varieties collectors actively search for today. The standard 1986 penny was supposed to weigh about 2.5 grams and consist primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, but some coins emerged with incorrect metal compositions, inconsistent weights, improper alloy mixtures, or striking errors that should never have passed quality control, and it is precisely these mistakes that create massive value gaps between ordinary cents and legendary collector coins. When we talk about a $9 million valuation, we are not referring to an average circulated penny you find in loose change, but rather an extremely rare combination of factors coming together in a single coin, including pristine condition, dramatic mint errors, and proven authenticity. One of the most famous possibilities surrounding the 1986 penny is the existence of off-metal strikes, meaning a coin intended to be struck on a zinc planchet was instead struck on a copper or even foreign metal blank, creating a coin with unusual color, weight, magnetic properties, and sound. And when such an error occurs and is confirmed by professional grading services, collectors become willing to pay extraordinary amounts, especially when the coin survives in near-perfect mint condition. Another major value driver is the double die error, a mistake that happens when the coin die itself is improperly prepared, causing doubling of letters, numbers, or design elements such as the date, Lincoln's profile, Liberty, or In God We Trust, and on certain rare 1986 pennies this doubling can be dramatic and clearly visible to the naked eye, making them some of the most exciting finds for error coin hunters, because true double die errors are created during the die manufacturing process rather than from post-mint damage, and that distinction alone can mean the difference between a coin worth face value and one worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. Mint mark errors also play a critical role in elevating the value of certain 1986 pennies, as this year coins were produced at multiple facilities including Philadelphia and Denver, with Denver coins carrying the D mint mark, and while most mint marks are clean and properly placed, rare examples exist with repunched mint marks, filled or missing mint marks, or mispositioned mint marks that deviate from standard specifications, and when these errors appear on already scarce varieties, they create an entirely new tier of rarity that advanced collectors aggressively compete for. Condition is another essential factor that cannot be overlooked, because even the rarest error coin loses significant value if it shows heavy wear, scratches, corrosion, or improper cleaning. The coins that command record-breaking prices are almost always graded at the highest levels by professional services, often receiving designations that confirm full original luster, sharp strike details, and exceptional eye appeal. A 1986 penny displaying blazing red color with no spots, strong doubling, and a documented mint error becomes more than just a coin. It becomes a historical artifact frozen in time, and when such a coin is unique or one of only a handful known to exist, the value can escalate into the millions due to collector psychology, prestige, and investment potential. Another intriguing possibility surrounding ultra-valuable 1986 pennies involves broad strike and off-center strike errors, which occur when a coin is not properly contained within the collar during striking, causing the design to spread outward or appear partially missing. And while many off-center coins exist, extremely dramatic and well-preserved examples from specific years like 1986 attract intense interest, especially when the date and design elements remain clearly visible. Die cracks, cuts, and die breaks also add to the list of potential value boosters, as these occur when a worn or damaged die continues striking coins, leaving raised metal lines or missing sections on the finished coin. And some 1986 pennies exhibit spectacular die break patterns that make each example visually unique, adding to their desirability among specialists. It is also important to understand the role of survival rates, because even if thousands of error pennies were initially struck, only a fraction survived decades later in collectible condition. Many were spent unknowingly, damaged in circulation, or destroyed, making high-grade survivors exponentially rarer. And scarcity combined with demand is the fundamental engine that drives numismatic value upward. The idea of a $9,001,986 penny is fueled not only by rarity but also by precedent, as history has shown that once an error coin achieves legendary status, collectors and investors are willing to pay astonishing sums to own a piece of numismatic history, especially if the coin represents a pivotal moment in minting technology or features an error never seen before or never replicated. Abraham Lincoln's enduring popularity further amplifies interest, as Lincoln pennies are among the most collected coins in the world, drawing in both beginner hobbyists and elite investors, and this massive collector base means competition is fierce whenever a truly exceptional coin enters the market. Auction houses, private sales, and elite numismatic exhibitions all contribute to the mythos and excitement surrounding ultra-rare coins, and rumors of private transactions reaching multi-million-dollar valuations only intensify public fascination, encouraging more people to check their coin jars, rolls, and inherited collections, hoping to discover a hidden treasure. Another fascinating factor that contributes to perceived value is the narrative attached to the coin, because collectors do not just buy metal, they buy stories, and the story of an ordinary 1-cent coin defying expectations and becoming worth millions resonates deeply, especially in a world where people dream of life-changing discoveries. The 1986 penny symbolizes possibility, luck, and the idea that history can be hiding in plain sight. Experts also point out that advancements in grading technology and error detection have brought renewed attention to coins once overlooked, meaning that previously undiscovered 1986 error pennies could still be waiting to surface, tucked away in old collections or forgotten storage boxes. This possibility keeps the market dynamic and fuels speculation, which in turn drives prices higher for confirmed examples. Authentication plays a critical role in this process, as only coins verified by reputable grading companies gain acceptance at the highest value levels. Counterfeit and altered coins exist, and discerning collectors rely on certification to ensure authenticity, weight accuracy, metal composition testing, and error verification. Without proper documentation, even a visually striking coin may fail to achieve its potential value, but with certification, provenance, and market timing aligned, a rare 1986 penny can move from curiosity to centerpiece in a world-class collection. It is also worth noting the global nature of coin collecting, because demand does not come solely from the United States. International collectors view iconic American coins as symbols of economic power and historical influence, and this global demand pool further pushes values upward when truly exceptional pieces appear. The psychological impact of headline-grabbing prices cannot be underestimated either, because once a coin type becomes associated with record values, even lesser examples see increased interest, while top-tier coins enter a realm where price becomes less about metal and more about exclusivity, status, and legacy. In this context, a $9 million valuation represents not just the coin itself but the culmination of history, rarity, artistry, error science, and human fascination. When you consider all these factors together, we are exploring the incredible story of the 1-cent 1997 D penny from the United States of America, a simple Lincoln penny that most people overlook every day, yet one extraordinary version of this coin has shocked collectors around the world with a rumored worth reaching up to $5 million, making it one of the most talked about modern pennies ever. And today I will take you on a journey through its history, its design, its errors, its mint mark mysteries, and the rare possibilities that turn an ordinary face value of 1 cent into a legendary treasure that could change lives forever. The 1997 D Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small D mint mark beneath the date, and at first glance it appears completely normal, showing Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with the iconic words "Liberty" to the left and "In God We Trust" above. A design that has been deeply embedded in American history and identity since Victor David Brenner first created the Lincoln cent in 1909. Yet despite its familiar appearance, the 1997 D penny belongs to a period of massive mint production where billions of coins were struck to meet everyday circulation needs, and it is precisely during such high-speed production that some of the most dramatic and valuable minting errors can occur, errors that transform common coins into ultra-rare collectibles worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or in extreme cases, millions of dollars. To understand how a 1997 penny could ever reach a value as high as $5 million, we must first understand how coins are made, because every coin begins as a blank planchet which is fed into high-pressure coining presses that strike the design using engraved dies, and when everything works perfectly the result is a flawless coin worth exactly its intended face value. But when something goes wrong during this complex mechanical process, the results can be astonishing, producing errors such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, wrong planchets, clipped planchets, misaligned dies, broad strikes, and mint mark anomalies, all of which can dramatically increase a coin's value depending on rarity, condition, and collector demand. One of the most famous error types associated with Lincoln pennies is the double die error, where the design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process, and while the most famous examples include the 1955 double die and the 1972 double die, some specialists believe there are extremely rare double die varieties among 1997 pennies that show subtle yet dramatic doubling on Lincoln's portrait, the date, or the inscriptions "Liberty and in God We Trust," and when such doubling is strong, clearly visible, and authenticated by a professional grading service, the value can skyrocket, especially if the coin is in uncirculated or near perfect condition. Another powerful factor that can drive the value of a 1997 penny into the millions is a mint mark error, because the Denver mint mark itself can become the key to rarity when it is improperly punched, missing, doubled, or misplaced, and while modern minting usually includes the mint mark as part of the die rather than hand-punched as in earlier years, errors can still occur such as a filled mint mark where grease or debris causes the D to appear weak or missing, or a repunched style effect, where the mint mark looks distorted or doubled, and in extremely rare hypothetical scenarios, a transitional error could exist where a Denver die was paired incorrectly or damaged in a way that produced a unique mint mark anomaly never repeated, creating a one-of-a-kind coin that collectors would fight fiercely to own. There is also the thrilling possibility of a wrong planchet error, where a 1997 penny is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even another country, such as a dime, a foreign coin blank, or an experimental planchet. And these types of errors are among the most valuable in modern numismatics because they demonstrate a breakdown in mint quality control that is exceptionally rare in the late 20th century, and when a Lincoln penny design appears on the wrong metal with a drastically different weight, color, or thickness, the coin immediately becomes a museum-level artifact, especially if documentation and authentication confirm its origin, and in such cases, multi-million-dollar valuations are not impossible. The composition of the 1997 penny also plays a role in its potential value, because by that time United States cents were made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, and errors related to plating defects are surprisingly common, yet some are so extreme and visually striking that they command extraordinary premiums, such as missing copper plating that leaves the zinc core fully exposed, improperly bonded plating that bubbles or peels, or double-plated errors that result in abnormal thickness and weight, and while minor plating issues are relatively affordable, extreme examples in pristine condition can attract intense interest, and when combined with other errors like doubling or off-metal strikes, the value can escalate dramatically. Another rare and fascinating possibility is a mule error, where the obverse and reverse dies from different coin types are accidentally paired together, and while mules are exceptionally rare, especially in modern coinage, they are among the most valuable mint errors ever discovered. And if a 1997 penny were ever confirmed as a mule combining the Lincoln obverse with a reverse from another denomination or design type, the numismatic world would erupt with excitement, driving values into uncharted territory due to the uniqueness and historical significance of such a mistake. Die cracks, die breaks, and cut errors also contribute to the mystique of the 1997 penny, because these occur when the die itself is damaged or broken, leaving raised lines, blobs, or missing design areas on the struck coin, and while minor cracks are common, massive die breaks that significantly distort the design can be extremely rare and visually dramatic, turning an everyday penny into a highly sought-after error, especially when the damage is large, well-defined, and clearly linked to a specific stage of die failure that produced only a small number of coins before being caught and removed. The condition of the coin is another critical factor that separates a valuable error from a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, because collectors place enormous emphasis on preservation, and a 1997 D penny with an extraordinary error that has never circulated, showing full original luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear, can be worth many times more than a similar coin in worn condition. And when such a coin is professionally graded at the highest levels and encapsulated with proper attribution, it gains credibility and desirability in the marketplace, opening the door to record-breaking prices. The story of the 1997 D penny is also fueled by the psychology of rarity and discovery, because collectors and treasure hunters love the idea that a fortune could be hiding in plain sight, sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, or rolls of change, and this belief keeps people searching, examining, and hoping, especially when stories circulate about pennies selling for staggering sums due to unique combinations of errors and circumstances, and while not every claim of a $5 million penny is verified, the possibility itself drives massive interest, views, and excitement, making such coins viral sensations across social media and video platforms. Market demand plays a crucial role in determining value, because a coin is ultimately worth what someone is willing to pay, and when a single coin captures the imagination of collectors, investors, and the public, bidding wars can push prices far beyond traditional expectations, particularly when the coin is unique or nearly so. And in the case of a hypothetical ultra-rare 1997 D penny with multiple confirmed errors, perfect condition, and documented provenance, a multi-million-dollar valuation becomes a conversation worth having, especially in a market where rare coins have repeatedly broken records at auction. Another reason the 1997 D penny stands out is its place in modern American coinage history, representing an era when minting technology was highly advanced, making severe errors far less common than in earlier decades, and this paradoxically makes any dramatic mistake from this period even more valuable, because it challenges assumptions about precision and quality control, turning the coin into a symbol of imperfection within an otherwise controlled system. Collectors are also drawn to Lincoln pennies because of the enduring popularity of Abraham Lincoln himself, whose legacy as a leader, emancipator, and symbol of unity adds emotional and historical weight to the coin, and when his portrait appears on a flawed yet extraordinary piece of metal, the contrast between symbolism and accident creates a narrative that resonates deeply with audiences around the world. The face value of the 1997 D penny remains 1 cent, a humble amount that reflects its intended purpose as everyday currency, yet its potential worth of $5 million highlights one of the most fascinating truths about numismatics, that value is not defined by denomination but by rarity, story, condition, and demand. And this truth inspires millions of people to take a second look at the coins they once ignored. As these pennies circulate, many are damaged, spent, or discarded, but a tiny fraction escape this fate, preserved by chance or curiosity until someone recognizes their uniqueness, and it is this moment of discovery that transforms an ordinary object into a priceless artifact. Today we are diving deep into the story of the 1 cent 2017 D penny from the United States of America, a modern Lincoln cent that at first glance looks just like any other copper-colored coin you may have spent without a second thought, yet under rare and specific circumstances has captured massive attention among collectors worldwide because of incredible error possibilities, mint mark anomalies, striking mistakes, and extreme rarity scenarios that can push its perceived worth far beyond its simple face value of 1 cent and into jaw-dropping territory rumored to reach up to $2 million, making this coin a symbol of how knowledge, patience, and close observation can sometimes change lives. The 2017 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse side featuring Abraham Lincoln, a design that has represented American values, liberty, and resilience for more than a century, and while millions of these coins were produced for everyday circulation, the true excitement begins when we explore how minting errors can transform a common issue into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible, because in the world of numismatics it is not age alone that determines value but uniqueness, scarcity, historical curiosity, and the story behind the mistake. One of the most talked about possibilities with the 2017 D penny involves dramatic mint errors such as off-metal strikes, where the coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin blank, and if a 2017 D penny were to be authentically discovered struck on silver, brass, or an experimental alloy rather than its standard zinc core with copper plating, collectors would immediately recognize it as an extraordinary error, because modern mint quality control makes such mistakes extremely rare, and rarity is the heartbeat of high value. Another major factor is the potential for double die errors, where the design is impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating visible doubling in the letters of Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, the date, or Lincoln's profile, and while minor doubling is often machine-related and less valuable, a true double die variety with strong, clear separation can ignite bidding wars among collectors, especially when discovered on a modern coin like 2017, which defies expectations that only older coins can be valuable. Equally intriguing are misaligned die strikes and off-center errors, where the coin design is shifted so far that parts of the date or legends are missing or dramatically distorted, and in extreme cases where the strike is wildly off-center yet still shows a clear date and mint mark, value can rise sharply, because such coins visually demonstrate the chaos that can occur in a highly automated minting process. Another thrilling scenario involves the mint mark itself, because a missing mint mark error or an improperly punched mint mark has historically driven prices sky high, and although modern mint marks are integrated into the die rather than punched by hand, the discovery of a distorted, filled, or malformed de-mint mark on a 2017 penny would immediately attract attention, especially if authenticated by a major grading service, because it challenges the assumption that modern minting has eliminated such errors entirely. There are also dramatic die break and cut errors, where chunks of the die break away causing raised blobs of metal to appear on the coin, sometimes obscuring parts of Lincoln's face or the word Liberty, and when such cuts are large, well-positioned, and visually striking, they can command significant premiums due to their unmistakable appearance and limited numbers. Another highly valuable possibility lies in wrong planchet thickness or weight errors, where the 2017 D penny might be significantly heavier or lighter than standard specifications, pointing to a flaw during the blank preparation stage, and when confirmed, these weight anomalies can elevate a coin into elite collector status. The discussion of a potential $2 million valuation comes from the extreme upper boundary of numismatic possibility, combining multiple errors into a single coin, such as a 2017 D penny struck on the wrong metal, with a dramatic double die obverse, an off-center strike, and a visible die break, all preserved in near-perfect condition, because value in the coin market is not linear but exponential when rarity layers stack upon each other, and collectors are not just buying metal but owning a unique piece of minting history that may never be replicated. Condition also plays a critical role, as coins graded in pristine mint state with full original luster and sharp details exponentially outperform worn examples, and a flawless surface free from scratches or corrosion can be the difference between a curiosity and a headline-making auction result. Authentication and grading by respected third-party services is essential because the market demands trust, and a professionally certified slab transforms a suspicious oddity into a recognized treasure, opening the door to international buyers, museums, and elite collectors who compete fiercely for the rarest examples. The cultural power of the Lincoln cent further fuels its desirability, because Abraham Lincoln symbolizes unity, freedom, and perseverance, and the phrase "In God We Trust" resonates deeply with American identity, adding emotional weight to the coin beyond its physical composition, which is why even small deviations in its design spark intense interest. Many collectors are drawn to the idea that valuable coins can still be found in pocket change or rolls from the bank, and the 2017 D penny embodies that modern treasure hunt spirit, reminding people that history is not only locked away in museums but still being created today through accidental errors and human imperfection. Stories circulate within the collecting community about dramatic discoveries, such as a rare penny spotted during routine change counting or inherited collections being re-examined years later, and while not every tale ends with a multimillion-dollar result, the possibility keeps the dream alive and the search ongoing. It is important to understand that sensational values often represent the highest conceivable scenario rather than an everyday expectation, and the majority of 2017 D pennies remain worth only face value, yet the few that slip through the cracks of the minting process and survive unaltered become legendary precisely because they are exceptions. The economics of coin value are driven by supply and demand, and when supply is essentially one or two known examples and demand includes wealthy collectors, investors, and institutions, prices can reach astonishing levels, particularly when the coin is tied to a popular series like the Lincoln Cent. Market psychology also plays a role, because headlines about record prices energize collectors and draw new participants into the hobby, further increasing competition for rare pieces. The idea of a modern penny being worth millions challenges conventional thinking and captures public imagination, making videos and discussions about such coins some of the most viewed content in the numismatic space, because they blend hope, education, and the thrill of discovery. Each era tells a story about the minting process, from blank preparation to die engraving to high-speed striking, and the 2017 penny serves as a case study in how even with advanced technology, mistakes still happen, and when they do, they create historical artifacts that reflect the human element behind mass production. Collectors carefully examine coins under magnification, looking for doubling, cracks, unusual textures, color differences, and alignment issues, understanding that knowledge is the most powerful tool in identifying potential treasures. The journey from pocket change to prized collectible is not guaranteed, but it is fueled by curiosity, learning, and attention to detail, and that journey itself is part of the reward for many enthusiasts. The 2017 penny stands as a reminder that value is not always obvious, that sometimes the smallest denomination can carry the biggest surprise, and that within the everyday objects we overlook, there may be stories of rarity, error, and unexpected worth waiting to be discovered by those willing to look closely. As collectors continue to search rolls, collections, and circulation, the legend of the ultra-valuable modern penny continues to grow, inspiring new generations to engage with numismatics not just as a hobby but as a lens through which to view history, economics, and craftsmanship, and whether or not a $2 million example ever publicly emerges. The excitement surrounding the possibilities ensures that the 1-cent 2017 penny will remain a topic of fascination, debate, and endless curiosity within the world of American coins and beyond.